World Rugby have approved a couple more little bits of tinkering for the laws to rugby here in New Zealand for Super Rugby Aotearoa. If you watched Super Rugby Aotearoa in 2020, you would have seen there were a couple of adjustments. One of them was the idea of a 20-minute red card. So if you get a red carded player, they are able to be replaced after 20 minutes. I know there's a bit of a movement over here, at least in New Zealand. I'm not sure what it's like in Europe at the moment after at least one of the games in the Six Nations this weekend had an early red card. But there's definitely a movement that early red cards ruin games and we shouldn't ruin the spectacle. And then there's an opposing force which says red cards are there for a reason. Players need to follow the laws and then they won't get red carded. That debate's going to go on, but either way, for Super Rugby Aotearoa, it's going to be the 20-minute red card, which is going to continue on from last year. That's one of the changes we saw last year. The other one was golden point, so if any games finish up as a draw, they will go into golden point time. The latter is particularly, I think, taken from rugby league, which is a big influence on the game over here, and I think especially in Australia. If you watched any games from Super Rugby AU, you would have seen they had more law changes like the 50-22, 22-50 kicks, and like goal line dropouts and that kind of stuff. We'll get to the Super Rugby ones for Aotearoa now. The first one they have changed, well, you could go with the goal line dropout. They've introduced that same law, so we saw it in Super Rugby AU last year. It basically means there's going to be fewer times when you see a 22 dropout. So you're thinking situations like one team hoofs the ball into opposition territory. The fullback, when he's going to collect the ball, notices it's gone into the in-goal area. Hasn't gone so far as that it goes dead, but it's gone into his in-goal area. Especially if he's got someone putting pressure on him, he can just dot it down, and then they'll have a 22 dropout. That's no longer going to be the case. If he dots it down, then that's going to be a goal line dropout. So that's 22 meters backwards you're going to have to take the kick from your own end goal. Now, the opposition team is not allowed to charge it down. They've got to be 5 meters standing back. So you are freely able to drop kick it away, but it's still from your own goal line. So in those situations, you will likely not see the fullback touch the ball down. He will likely run it back into the field of play and then take a kick or run it in attack from there. The other situation is, attacking player gets over the goal line but's held up. In that situation, rather than setting a 5-meter scrum, you're going to have a goal line dropout from the defending team. Will get possession and kick it back to the opposition. The idea being that it keeps the pace of the game up rather than having to stop to set a scrum. Now, I don't actually mind the idea of 5-meter scrums. I'm not sure why that's a big deal. I guess it's more ball in play time because scrums are seen as the enemy and the big turn-off maybe for some casual fans. I love a good 5-meter scrum. It's a hell of an attacking opportunity. You got all the forwards in that tight pocket. You've got acres of space. Really hard to defend against. So I don't think that one is... it gets the game restarted faster. But I'm not sure that it adds that much to it. I think you may be taking away from some pretty sweet opportunities for some nice set-piece tries. But that's just me. There's obviously some situations where you won't be penalised with a dropout for touching the ball down. Like if the opposition kicks for a penalty and it's in the in goal, you're allowed to tap it down. It'll be the old rules. Likewise for a drop goal, things like that. So... it's basically just from a regular kick through. If you tap it down, then you're going to have to do a goal line dropout rather than a 22. The other change is like a captain's challenge. They're calling it captain's referral. This one also, I think, comes from rugby league in its origin. They're basically, and it's heaps of sports that got captain's challenges, right? Cricket's got captain's challenges. What other sports? Tennis, you can challenge the umpire. I clearly don't watch enough other sports. I know ice hockey you can do some kind of challenges. So, yeah. They're introducing this one for Super Rugby Aotearoa. It's going to mean each captain gets one challenge per game. And there's only specific situations they can use that challenge to get the TMO to have a look at a referee's decision to potentially overrule it. One of them is in the lead up to a try. So, for example, if the defending team thinks they have seen a knock-on in the lead up to a try, which has been missed by the ref, missed by the touch judges, and missed by the TMO, the captain can ask the referee to refer it to the TMO, and they'll go and check it out. Now, they've only got 10 seconds to make a call. They have to let the referee know within 10 seconds. So I guess that's the idea of keeping the game moving. So the communications amongst the players will need to be pretty good. If the captain hasn't seen it, one of his players will have to let him know pretty quick smart to refer it. Same rules apply for any TMO decision. If it's not clear and obvious, they will stick with the referee's call. So if the referee says it's a try, they refer it for a knock-on, but it's not clearly a knock-on, it'll still be a try. And in that situation, they will lose the challenge. There's no more times they can go for the challenge. But if it's correct, then you get to retain the challenge, which is pretty similar to what we see in most other sports. So yeah, and the lead up to a try is one time they can make that call. Also for foul play, if they think there's been foul play, somebody gets eye gouged at the bottom of a ruck, they want to report that to the ref and the TMO who hasn't spotted it and the touchies, then they can do that one at any time as well. Those are really the only 2 times you can use it. And also, I should say, there's no limit on the number of phases like there used to be. It's basically like from the last restart. So, yeah, there's not really a limit on like it's got to be within the last 2 phases. It could be, 10 phases back. You could do that. What they have said, though, is after the 75th minute, apart from scrums and lineouts, the captain can refer any decision, which maybe gets a little bit hairy. You could be seeing TMOs referring breakdown penalties if captains want to, say that the guy was off his feet, wasn't supporting his own body weight. You may see the TMO poring over that kind of footage. But yeah, those are the changes. So they're keeping the red card rule with 20 minutes. They're keeping golden point. They are adding goal line dropouts, so fewer 22 dropouts. And they are adding captains' referrals for tries, foul play, and then in the last 5 minutes, almost all and sundry. But yeah, it will be an interesting one. So World Rugby signed off to see these experimental ones trialed. It'll be interesting to see which ones kind of hit and which ones kind of miss. I'm not against the captain's referral, other than I think it's another stoppage to the game, which the game probably doesn't need. I'm all for tired rugby players. At the end of the 80, the guys should be absolutely knackered. There should be acres of space for fresh legs to be running into. So the final 20 minutes should be fantastically exciting. If guys are tired, there's going to be gaps. There's going to be mistakes. That's what I think will add value to the game. More stoppages lead to less tired players, equal less gaps, and just bigger bodies in general. So, yeah. Anyway, not that keen on the stoppages, but we've all seen those times when there's been an absolute howler missed by the refs. So captains may have a chance to put some of those to bed, which is maybe not a bad thing. It will be interesting to see how it goes. With only one referral, and it's going to be kind of like gold to not waste it, we may not see too much in the way of stoppages. But there's bound to be one game which has loads of them. I'm sure other games will see it not really used at all. But yeah, you guys let me know your thoughts. What do you reckon? Are these good additions? Is this more tinkering, which we don't need? Are you a fan of the red card thing staying with the 20 minutes? Or would you like to see it back to what it usually is in most rugby games? Golden point. Anyway, you guys have any thoughts? Super Rugby Aotearoa is only a couple weeks away. Happy days. I'll talk to you guys again soon. See you later.